when the backup center comes in. That's a hard adjustment to make, So, yeah. So, all right, let's move on to Colin Cowherd here, Tim. If you actually don't worry about that screen, but I'll tell you here in a second when you can pull it. I want to hit the tweet. Micah Parsons quote tweeted our boy Colin Cowherd. All right, and Micah Parsons put a bunch of laughing emojis. This is what Colin Cowherd tweeted, and then we'll read off what Micah Parsons tweeted. He said, quote, Micah's rep has always been he's a splash player, a remarkable athletic splash player. He's not good against the run, right? And it says Colin Cowherd isn't surprised at Micah Parsons' recent lack of impact. So Micah quote tweeted him and said, we just held Saquon Barkley to 60 rushing yards, and our only losses have been holding teams to 13 points. 13 points or less, I guess what he's saying, right? Man, sometimes can y'all please shut the F up, all right? I think is what we're saying here, and enjoy great defense. Why do you think teams come into the games that we're going to run the ball on 3rd and long? What effect do you think that is? Please stop giving people's mics or listening to this trash.
Public service announcement from MP1. I love it.
And again, man, this is what we talked about with even Rashawn Gary last year. Like, why ain't he getting sacks? Why ain't he getting sacks? Guys, look at the run defense. Like, you can't have gaudy sack numbers and stop the run to the level in which we need to stop the run to have a championship defense. You got to pick one. You can't just take everything away, right? You're not the 85 Bears. You're not the 2000 Baltimore Ravens. You're not the insert any of the historically great defenses. And I don't know if anybody will ever be, again, to be honest with you. But and mainly not because that defense was so great, but because offense was so limited back then. And nowadays, man, on a dime, you can go from – did you see the RPR last night with Jalen Hurts? How he would run, pass, and then he would sprint right. And the defender, what you do is you create a conflict defender on the edge. And we talked about the RPR and the game plan. If you guys go back and look at the game plan over on Patreon, that was the RPR we were talking about. It was showing basically a run, pass, run option. And what that means is run, fake the run, decide if you want to pass, right? Okay, if you want to pass, pull the ball out of the belly, and then it's got like a sprint right option. And if the defender goes to the quarterback, dump it to the flat. If the defender stays with the flat, he can tuck it and run. You got Emilio joining us now. Emilio, did you see the RPR last night? See it several times, right? That's what we were talking about. So again, we're just kind of hitting on what Colin Cowherd said here, and Micah Parsons quote tweeting him. Basically, Colin Cowherd's saying that he's having a lack of impact. And Micah Parsons pointing out, y'all think it's a coincidence that when we stop people's running game, that essentially we're not having these gaudy numbers, is what he's saying. This kind of goes hand in hand with what we talked about up to this point. You can't take everything away, right? Like you gotta pick and choose your spots. And the fact that Colin Cowherd has so little lack of awareness that the day after the Packers defense kept the Eagles to 10 points, and they're one of the better offenses in the league. Obviously, their passing game has been very, very potent all year long. That's the fight he decided to pick. Just convinces me even further that these guys are just looking for the reaction we're giving them, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. No, that's exactly it. I mean, it's how are you going to be able to say that when you held them to 13 first downs, 5 less than ours? There was only 111 rushing yards. They had 7 more yards than us rushing. Micah's right. You hold Saquon, you hold Jalen Hurts, you got to be in good shape. His total of 100 yards is the worst thing. That one little swing pass spin move on Carrington was the worst play.
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead, Tim. You got anything you want to add to that right there, man?
No, other than Colin Cowherd is the weatherman of football commentary. He can be right sometimes, he can be wrong all the time. It never matters. I mean, if you don't like what Colin Cowherd says today, tomorrow he'll flip-flop and say the opposite, right? I mean, this is the guy who was telling us, not too long ago that Jordan Love was, incapable of playing football, and that he just could not understand why the Packers would put him in a position to be the starter and franchise quarterback. And, I think as recently as a few days ago, he was calling him one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. So, if you flip-flop all the time, it's hard to take you seriously, right? And I think you're right, Clayton. I think a lot of these, and maybe it's not just Colin Cowherd, maybe it's a lot of these mainstream media people. They just want the engagement and the reactions. I really think it is. They want to get a rise out of you, and I refuse to give it to them, So I'm glad Micah, called this out. Big shout out to Micah Parsons for addressing it. I thought that was pretty cool. A lot of the players, they don't tweet all the time, right? They may have socials and stuff. They're usually not, on the old X algorithm as much as maybe we are sometimes. Christian Watson also, kind of owned up to that helmet ball last night, and said that, you probably should have caught it. So it's kind of cool to see these players address it, especially when you're bringing up specifically their name and their teammates. Those guys are engaging in battle out there on defense. The last thing they want to hear is some talking head dweeb talk about how poor they are against the run when you held one of the best backs in the NFL under the century mark, and you gave up 10 points to the defending Super Bowl champions. So salute to Micah for calling it out.
Shoot, Tim, I'm surprised the talking heads at SportsCenter even put up Christian's response. What I mean? I saw a whole clip of that thing. And it's just they obviously have accountability. Obviously they know they messed up. They want the playback. You get 6 seconds basically each play to make something happen. Yep. And Christian there, turned and played defense. All right, whatever.
I respect Watson for the fact that he made a decision and went with it. He didn't, a lot of times you see guys that kind of half-assed make a decision and, it ends up even worse than it could have been. So
right, Tim, if he goes to make the catch and the dude picks it off, why didn't Watson play DB there? He should have played defense on the guy. So it's like,
it's a lose-lose scenario.
It is, man, and I've made my opinion. I've voiced my opinion earlier today, and we'll probably hit on it too when we get to Chalk Talk, maybe even with the PFF grades here in a little bit. But it is one of those situations. It's not like that decided the game. However, it's just really he definitely misjudged the ball. Watson. There's no two ways about it, right? So,
you want to have back under the lights stuff, man.
Absolutely. Brambo with the super chat. Thank you, Brambo. He says, we did almost jump that RPR in the last drive. We did. You're right. Yeah. And that's kind of how you play it, right? You want to try to manipulate the quarterback's decision, especially once you get to the point where you're on an island. You want to match a hat for a hat in that scenario. It's hard to do when you got Saquon possibly running B gap opposite direction, and then everybody's got to get back and cover the scramble, the run action of the RPR, plus the pass option of it as well. There's a lot of moving parts there. And I did notice that I felt like we played a lot more zone last night. We'll see if the tape suggests that when we get into breaking it down a little deeper level. And that's how you play the RPRs. You got to play zone. If you're in man, you'll see what happens with Evan Williams last week, where he got washed out because he has to follow his guy wherever he goes, that type of thing. So, but thank you for the super chat, Brambo. Appreciate you, buddy. That's kind of the take there. Again, anybody who listens to this show consistently, pretty regularly, we've basically made this point that Mike is making here in this tweet over and over and over again, that there's no defense out there that takes everything away. And as he's pointing out here, man, look, you decide, all right, we're going to stop the run, and he's just simply pointing out, like, what, you just picked the wrong fight with the wrong side of the ball. There, Colin. That's all it was, and that's what makes me think you can't be that stupid. You can't be that stupid.
It's got to be intentional, right?
Right. It's got to be. So I do see a lot of people in the chat and talking about Brandon McManus. There's a lot of chatter in there. I'm a little confused, Emilio. I don't know if you pushed back on me last night or not. I'm trying to remember. Everything's kind of a blur. And
it was. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sleepy too. Still, so I got to get some rest tonight, my old ass. But with Brandon McManus, I'm seeing a lot of chatter. Like last night was another man, it was almost like it was his not his fault that we lost, but how many kicks did he kick? He kicked an extra point, right?
He kicked an extra point. He missed the field goal attempt with 2 seconds left. He attempted one pre-snap with 5 seconds left, missed it just short. Mm-hmm. And then Matt pulled off the kicking unit, put Jordan on. Don't love that little bubble thingy that he ran. I would have liked a 2-step speed out, or the two kind of run the corner and then have the dude little run, whatever. But anyway,
I didn't like it at all. I thought it was dangerous. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I understand.
It looked like Jordan just airmailed it because he thought it was dangerous too.
Right. right?
Yeah.
Because if they play off, right, if they play off there, you take it. But the fact that they played kind of snug, it wasn't really bump, but they were close enough. They can pick that pass off if you ain't careful. So Jordan just snap it, chuck it out of bounds, stick to the look we wanted. Let's try the field goal. So the point I was trying to make with McManus is I don't understand why we're more down on him today than we were going into the game. If you're down on him from last week, I get it. He hooked that ball. It seems like he's in his own head. If he is fully healthy, like people seem to be thinking he is. But that 64-yarder, I didn't watch him shank that and go, oh crap, McManus sucks. Like I understand
a healthy Brandon McManus attempting a 64-yard field goal is pretty much the sheer edge. I mean, you're already out of his range, right? I think he's probably in that 59 to 60, 61, maybe you might get 64, 65. No.
Yeah. And as Deadfish said, the first kick was just short. So now he goes back after gathering that information and go, boys, I got to put more on this to get it there. And what happens when you put more on it? You're going to hook that thing. That's what's going to happen, right? So I'm not saying that I'm right and anybody else is wrong. I don't look at that kick and go, boy, oh boy, McManus. Like, that's why I keep asking me. I'm not being a smart ass. I'm genuinely asking people like, did I miss another attempt? I'm looking through my chart and everything. I'm like, I don't think we missed any more kicks.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I think they're counting that pre-snap the one at 5 seconds when he kicked it pre-snap, missed it just short. I think they're counting that and just adding on to the fact of, hey, he missed this one too. It's like, dude, all right, cool. Well, at least we kind of know his range. Has anybody else thought of the weather? I mean, it was 20 degrees, Tim, with the wind.
It was cold, dead kind of air.
It's probably like you're kicking like a retaining wall block and you're trying to put your leg through the thing.
Yeah. And really we have to do it justice by explaining the fact that, on that drive, if, a couple things go right, we're not sending them out there. We're sending them out there for a 54-yard or a 53-yard field goal.
No, definitely.
Which is still long enough, to tie the game there at the end. But yeah, I just I don't put the blame on McManus at all.
I don't think the snap was perfect. I got to go.
That one was terrible. The second one, for sure. That's why he shanked it. I'm convinced of it.
Could have been, with the low snap. So, again, and 2-0 for this says that needed to be a Hail Mary attempt. I can understand that opinion, too. I got you. Here's the problem with it, though, 2-0 for this. Like, I'm kind of with you. If you've never seen McManus hit a 64-yarder in Lambeau, much less the code, probably throw the Hail Mary, right? So I'm with you there. However, if we throw the Hail Mary, there's going to be fans in here and everywhere else going, why didn't you at least give him a shot to kick the field goal? That's going to be happening too. So it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. And really this is why we come away from this game saying there's so many people, so many things to put blame on. Musgrave had 3 targets, 3 catches. You look at the box score and go, good game. However, that third down, where he just kind of falls to the ground and avoids contact. You got to know, I got to pick this first down up. I've got to lose my life to pick this first down up, right? And we, again, all week long, we said Musgrave may be an X factor, but don't expect him to run through tackles. That's not who he is, right? That's like expecting one of our receivers to run through those 3 tackles. However, the Eagles better count their blessings that Tucker Kraft wasn't on that field, because he would have blasted all 3 of those cats for that first down. That would have happened. You would not have stopped him from getting that first down. And that's the other thing I want to point out. People calling for LaFleur's job and guys, we were without our number 1 target. You're going, I know, Clayton, Jaden Reed's been all year. Well, cool. Jaden Reed. Tucker Kraft was your leading receiver. He's gone now. Then you lose your starting center. So it's and on top of that, you got a backup cornerback dropping passes, running routes in your F because you're so, banged up at the wide receiver position because your first round pick is injured. So all that gets pushed to the side, and Matt LaFleur needs to be fired. We're just not being realistic. We're not. It's again, that's just how I see it. So.
And he should have had a 30 or 40 yarder at the end of the second when Jordan fumbled. Just a nice, easy, warm the leg up, put it through the uprights, give us 3 right there and go. And mistake. Yeah,
I think this is in response to something Holmes said here in the chat, too, about people talking about the play calling. Nick McSwain says, someone called me an idiot because I said the play calling wasn't as big of an issue as the execution. Doc, LOL. It's so true. And we kind of played that audio earlier today. Guys, the tape is there. You can watch it. Hell, we didn't even have to get to the all-22. The announcers are showing ISO cams of receivers running butt naked through the trailer park, and Love just didn't see them. He didn't get it to them. So that, again, that's where you put blame on Love. You can also put some blame on the offensive line for not protecting him early and things getting kind of rattled and shook up. Just there's plenty of blame to go around. And that's why listen, we're the number 7 seed, right? I laid that out earlier. And I walked us through just the NFC North games for the next 3 weeks. And this thing is going to get wild. I showed a scenario where the Packers fall completely out of the playoffs after this week or after next week. This week, them jumping to like the 5 or 6 seed. Next week, falling completely out of the playoffs. And then the following week, all that tallying up, we're back in first place in the division. Like this.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And I know people hear that and go, whatever, Clayton, I'm stressed. Embrace it. This is what makes the NFL so damn good.
It's so that time of year, man. We're coming down the stretch here. You're going to see a lot of shifting, both AFC and NFC, I think, as much as everyone thinks we have this whole playoff picture figured out right now. How many times have we seen it come down to week 16 or week 17, win and you're in, lose, you're done. A lot of times you're right. Towards the end of the season, the playoffs are already started,
Right. Chris Cashwin says the offensive line is the weakest link on the squad. Second place ain't even close. I agree. And here's what's crazy. We identified this after we lost to the Eagles in the playoffs. We said, this needs to be top priority this offseason. We spent a second-round pick on Anthony Belton. We signed Aaron Banks in free agency. You missed. It looks like we missed on Aaron Banks. Luckily, you got a 1 year out. If Goody agrees he missed on him, we can just, all right, let's chalk it up and move on. But we can't blame him for not trying, right? Like he's seen the same thing we did, because you can obviously see where he spent his time and his money, time in scouting, and obviously a second-round draft pick, and the money in free agency for Aaron Banks. And again, you're going to miss on some. I'm not making excuses for Goody. That's the other thing that pisses me off when you get in the middle of the season. The GM just kind of gets no blame. He just kind of drifts to the back, right? People say, well, he traded the farm to get Micah Parsons, right? Gotcha. So that absolves him from any decisions he's made building the rest of the roster. Like, there's plenty of blame to go around. So, and I did see fans actually tweeting at me and tweeting at other Packer fans earlier today going, hey, we'll give you multiple draft picks for Matt LaFleur right now if you don't want him. Like, there's a bunch of teams that would be begging for Matt LaFleur to be their head coach. And I'm telling you, be careful what you wish for, because the next hire – You ain't got Mark Murphy making that decision to get a Matt LaFleur, who has been one of the most successful coaches since he's taken over the Packers. He will have a job tomorrow, and you might end up with Brian Daboll. Just saying.
Yep.
So I know winning percentage doesn't matter to a portion of the fan base, but it'll matter when you hire Brian Daboll. I promise you that. So, all right. Are we ready to move on to PFF grades since y'all are done rambling here?
Yes.
I thought we were going to go with Cowherd. What happened? We scrapping it?
We covered it, Tim. We didn't even gonna play the audio. I don't want to hear his voice. So we covered what he said essentially, right? And we'll just move it along there. All right. So